Morning everybody, Gareth and BTA here with another 5-minute fundamentals. So, this morning I was making a cup of tea and the 5-minute fundamentals idea hit me like a rogue hacky sack to the neck. I was talking to Ash from Quarantine Marine yesterday, who Ash is one of the few larger importers in Australia of marine ornamental fish. I've sold him some gear over the years and helped him out a lot with his system design and stuff like that. And he had some questions about plumbing, okay, and specifically gravity flow plumbing. All right, so when we talk about a gravity flow pipe, we need to understand that in full gravity flow, the water travels around the outside of the pipe, okay? It doesn't fill the pipe, runs around the outside of the pipe. When it gets into a horizontal pipe, it, sits in the bottom half. When it hits, it sits in the bottom half and then travels along, okay? Until that pipe becomes full. Now, in a perfect world, all of the outlet pipes to the tanks and then the main line that's taking the water away from the tanks themselves towards the filtration would never be full, okay? In the circumstance that you have, so all things being equal, as long as your outlet size to your tank is sized correctly, and you need to size that correctly to get the flow through it, obviously, otherwise you're going to have to alter the flow at the inlet. But we're just talking about gravity flow pipes at the moment. So you've got a certain amount of flow in, you've got a certain amount of flow coming out. If your main line is not sized to then take the total amount of flow, what will happen is that main line, the horizontal main line, will start to fill, okay? And then that water then starts to back up inside all of the other pipes until it can create what we call a head. Now, a head is just like head pressure with a pump that's pushing water back, except this head is pushing water against this head is gravity pushing the water down through the pipe. Okay, imagine you've got a 200 millimeter pipe and you get a 5 litre jug and you pour it into it. It's just going to go straight to the bottom. Okay. You then take a 15 millimeter pipe and pour 5 litres into it. It's going to start filling up to a certain point before it can then start pushing water out. It's going to back up, yeah? So what happens is, for instance, if you've got a bottom row of tanks, say you've got 3 rows of tanks, one on top of the other, or even one row of tanks in the bottom, and you're, or in an aquaculture system, and your return line isn't sized accordingly, what's going to happen is the water's going to back up, and if it backs up too much to actually, back up that head inside the vertical pipes to push the water out, it's then going to back up and essentially overflow the tanks, because the water's going to find the easiest way to get out. And if it's backing up too much, if your pipes are really restricted, then, your water's going to overflow out of your tanks. It's going to go back the other way. It's not going to go against gravity, obviously, but it's going to, the water finds its own level, and as it fills up, it's going to fill up and fill up and fill up until those tanks start to overflow, because that's exactly what the water's trying to do. Now, when we're talking about siphon flows in aquariums and things like that with different outlet arrangements and configurations, we're talking about a different thing altogether. And when that head backs up inside that pipe to get the water out, that is essentially now siphon flow, because it's pushing it, it's the pipe's full of water, okay? So, but if we're working totally off gravity, which in the majority of circumstances in a multiple tank application we will be, then you really need to, pay attention to your pipe sizes, okay, in your return line. So, I mean, if your return line's backing up too much, and say you've got a tier of 3 tanks and it's overflowing the bottom row of tanks, take that bottom row of tanks off that line and put them on their own independent line going back. You'll ease the amount of water going into the original line by cutting it by 33%, essentially. But very important to make sure that your pipe size is sized correctly. Now, I have a gravity flow calculator that I use that I'm quite happy to help people out. There's plenty of guides online as well. And people that have been doing it for a long time will pretty much just know off the top of their head without sizing things too much that, that's the amount of pipe I need. Just like pressure lines with pumps going back to tanks, same as gravity flow lines, you only pay for the plumbing once. If you make a mistake in the gravity flow line, you got to rip that out and redo it, or minimize the amount of flow going through there, which means minimizing the amount of flow going through your tank, which means the less water is getting treated, which means potentially the lower the quality of water depending on your stock intensity. Okay, there's a lot more to it. That's just generally speaking, just a tip that hit me. If you have any questions, give me a call. Happy to go over it with anyone. Happy to shoot the breeze, talk shop, chew the crud as it is, and have a fantastic, what is it, Thursday today? Wow. So have a great Thursday, and almost the weekend. So get those mid strengths in the fridge, and have a fantastic rest of your day. Cheers. Bye.